As you know that in a multinational business, a transnational business, the enterprises they sometimes develop a intangible. Now, let us say they are developing a trademark, which is a very common example. Now, that trademark would be used in various jurisdictions or various countries. So, typically, a cost contribution arrangement is basically a kind of arrangement among the group of entities. In this context, they might be belonging to the same group, controlling group, and where they develop an intangible. After the development of the intangible, the allocation of the cost to the entity is on the basis of what benefit it will expect. Means every entity in the group will contribute to the development of intangible in the ratio of expected benefit to it. So, in other words, the essence of arm's length pricing that if there are two third persons, they are having a joint venture. They will divide the risk and rewards uh, in the ratio of their investment. So the same principle applies here that let us say there is a cost of 100 which has been incurred by three entities in three different jurisdictions for developing a trademark. Let us say the trademark is very well developed, very well established. The three entities in three different jurisdictions, they would have an expectation how much they would be able to earn from the exploitation of trademark. So the cost, the centralized pool of 100 of the cost, that would be shared between the three entities or participating entities in the ratio of expected benefit from their participation in the joint development of the intangible property. Traditionally, this cost contribution agreement, again, it is a very commercial concept that no entity would like to sink huge amounts of money. There would be exposure. Therefore, the risks are divided when multiple entities of the maybe of the same group they join together because they are dividing their risks. I think something related to this is something called a intra-group services or shared services. Just I want to touch upon it because it has got somewhat the same principles. In a multinational structure, uh, the parent entity might be in one country, it might be having operating subsidiaries in 50 countries. Uh, it is very common that certain basic services are required by every entity in every jurisdiction. As an example, accounts maintenance, payroll processing, tax compliances, auditing, this kind of treasury management sometimes. So these kind of services, every entity in every jurisdiction will need personnel adequately qualified and experienced to render these services. If every entity has to replicate these services by having separate staff, it would be cost inefficient. So generally the multinationals they house this expertise in one centralized entity in the group, and adequate professionals, adequate qualified people having enough experience are housed in that particular entity. All the costs of these persons are borne by that entity in which they are housed. They provide services of this nature to all the user entities, and therefore the entire cost borne by the centralized service provider entity will be allocated to the user entities in a particular ratio. Now, for that ratio, OECD transfer pricing guidelines they provide a method that in case the specific costs have been incurred by the centralized service provider entity for a particular subsidiary, then all those costs are to be charged to that entity. That is very simple. But in case the services are common to more than 250 entities, and these are all is general cost which has been incurred by the centralized entity, then it has to be allocated on some allocation key, and that is called an indirect charge method. Basically, this could be on the basis of ratio of turnover of the subsidiary. This could be on the ratio of head count of employees. So any method which approximates an arm's length price. So on that basis, the entire cost will be allocated to the subsidiaries, and that may be a decision of the centralized service provider entity whether it recovers the costs without profit markup or with markup. Whichever way it is decided, that is a commercial decision. The multinational group as a whole saves a lot of effort and lot of money in adopting this centralized service provider arrangement.